there, today we have episode 7 of our farmhouse build. Hey there, my name is Yami. I am your Latina next door. Welcome back to Mi Casa. Today I have a little assistant here as well as my husband, and we're going to give you guys an update on what's been going on with our farmhouse. So one of the questions you all had when we shared our house plans was if we were going to create like a safe room or kind of like a storm shelter in our house. And we had already had plans for this, as a matter of fact. And we even had a location for it. And I don't think anybody got the location when they tried to guess. But I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Nelson right now so he can explain why we chose the location that we chose and kind of how it all came together and, the decisions that we made and all that stuff.
So where we decided to put the safe room is our walk-in closet. So we had a pretty big, a really spacious walk-in closet, designed for our master bedroom. And, realistically, there was other options we could have went with. We could have put it in the garage, but, that's kind of far away from the home. Our master bedroom is really close to the stairs from upstairs. So, like, if, there's a storm coming, the kids could quickly go down the stairs and go into our bedroom, and then we could all go into the safe room. And really, that's about the only spot inside the home that we could get away with. The way that master closet was set up, it was going to be like a big, you could have an island in the middle. But because of the walls, we're not going to have an island in the middle, but we're going to put like custom built-ins to kind of get around the fact that we lost some square footage. Hopefully it's enough. I think it is. I don't know.
It was also the only place that we can afford to lose a window, because originally there was a window in the closet space, and which I guess if you want natural light, that's a good thing, but it also might seem a little funny to have a window in your closet when you're changing. And so we decided that since we can lose, a window there, we don't need one for a closet. That was also another deciding factor as to, why we chose that room. Our last house, we had a very small closet and we may do just fine. One of the things that I do plan on doing is, decreasing the amount of clothes that I have on hand. Our stuff has been packed up for about 1.5 years, and we've been living just fine without most of our wardrobe. So that'll also help us, reduce some of our items as well. But even with that, the closet, along with like a system, we're going to have ample storage and ample, places to hang clothes and store stuff. So that's honestly the reason, one of the reasons why we chose that room.
And the construction, again, it's made out of cinder block. So underneath the slab, we had extra footers put in around where the walls would sit on to support all the weight. And the height of the room went up to, I think it was 8.5 inches. So it's still pretty big anyways.
Our walls are 10-foot walls. So, they're really big walls. And I'm only 5'2". There's only so much wall I can use up. We were able to lose some height in there without it being an issue. So yes, we're going to try this without the baby. She was a little bit active and talking quite a bit. Now she's still in the background. You might hear her, but hopefully it won't interrupt us as much. Okay, so now for the construction of the safe room.
So the safe room is made out of cinder block. And then the way that's done, it's cinder block gets put down. And then once you get to a certain level, and I can't remember how many it was, but every so often, horizontally, rebar was put around the whole 4 walls. And then rebar went, vertically as well. So you had the cinder block that went up. They put like one or few rows of like rebar around, plus the rebar that goes up and down, all the way until we got it to the height that it needed to be. So you had rebars, from top to bottom and horizontally as well. So like wrapping around all the walls. And then for the roof line, we had like a corrugated metal to hold up the concrete while it's being poured. Essentially just kind of like a little cap. So that way, while the concrete is drying, it holds it in place. And underneath it, there's support holding everything up. And
which will be removed.
Right. And then the rebar as well. So once it goes up and over into the roof, there's like L or pieces of rebar that are L shaped. That way it goes across into the roof or the ceiling of it. And when you do that type of construction, since you're pouring into cinder block, the concrete has to be wet, so it's runnier. It's not as, I wouldn't say not as thick, but it's just wetter than normal concrete when you pour like a slab floor. That way, when the concrete gets poured in, it goes down to all the little crevices of the cinder block from ceiling down to the floor. And the ceiling, I think, ended up being 5 inches thick on top of the cinder block. So that is the construction we went with. Once it's all said and done, you basically have a solid block wall of 8 inches. The other way they could have been done is if you formed it, put forms all around, pour concrete in, and then, take the forms off and keep doing it, kind of like you see in commercial buildings when they do, concrete walls. But, A, that costs more for us. Two, it takes a lot longer. And the drying time, because, like, with cinder block, since it basically holds the concrete in, you can pour it and then you can work around it like immediately because there is nothing, the concrete's being held in place by the cinder block itself. After that was all said and done, we cased out the door to get into the closet.
Originally in the plans, it was a square room. However, we angled the door a little bit because the door that we're going to be placing on it is kind of large, kind of heavy, kind of bulky. It's going to be custom for this space, if you will. And it kind of needed more space. So we decided to angle that wall. And you'll see how we kind of changed things up a little bit from the original plans. But Nelson found this door online, and he can tell you a little bit more about it.
So what we ended up going with was a vault door. So the vault door basically looks like I don't know if I'm sure y'all have seen like the safes. Like you can buy like the big metal safe that has like the little wheels you spin and you type in the code to open it. And then on the inside you got deadbolts that go from the top to bottom all the way around, which is what we went with. That gives it I think a fire rating of like I forget, up to 2100 or 2500 degrees. And not only its protection from like I forget what the storm rating is. So like if there's a tornado, the wood will not puncture and go into the closet because obviously we got cinder blocks all the way around, so we're safe there. But we don't want to have a way to something break through the door if there's a bad storm, bad tornado, and then like you got a 2x4 that goes through the door. But with this huge metal door, it won't go through it.
It might seem a little overkill, but we just wanted to make sure that the entire place was encased and safe for us in case there was a crazy storm. We have seen a lot of storms since we've been here, and the wind can get pretty tough. And, we're just trying to prepare in case anything, happens in the future. There may not be, but we feel a little safer having a room that we can all go to and just kind of wait out a storm if it gets a little tough.
Oh, and one thing that we did to make sure when we ordered the door swung into the actual closet. So, like in the event that the storm comes, everything gets knocked down or debris gets in front of the door. If you have it pushed out like most doors do, you won't be able to open the closet if it's swinging out because then you're pushing against the debris. But if you have an in swing door, you open the door in and
You can move anything that might be in the way.
right, move it out of the way. That way you can get out. And you can unlock the door from the inside. So obviously you have the key lock or the way to lock it from the outside. So like, if we're on vacation or something and you want to put our valuables, jewelry or something, you just go in there, boop, lock the stuff in.
Not that I have anything that's really that expensive.
Well, no, like the important documents, like, your birth certificate or, the deed to your home or your property. It's like, that's a good way to, just lock stuff in and then you're good to go. And, if you go out for a day or something like, I don't know. We always feel
it's nice to have that, peace of mind. So yeah, not only can you lock it from the outside to protect anything inside, but you can unlock it from the inside, which is important when you're actually in there, seeking safety from like a storm or something. So we didn't get as much footage of this, but it definitely does look interesting. And if you guys have been following on the community tab or on Instagram, you guys know that we are well into the framing stage of the house. And, we framed around this room. You guys will see exactly how it like kind of lies in, with the framing and what we had to do in order for everything to flow and to make it feel like this is just part of a house. The minute the sheetrock goes up, you can't even tell it's there. And we're pretty proud of, how we came up with that and how we found solutions to different things that we might have come across in building this little safe room, for, heavy storms and stuff. So it's definitely very interesting, and we're glad that we went ahead and went through it because we do feel like we really needed a space like this in our home since we don't have a basement this time around.
We're also very fortunate that since we are managing the build ourselves, we have the flexibility to change things without there being like change orders. So if you have a general contractor, if this was not part of your contract up front, you would, you'd have to pay for all the change orders. The framers, you'd have to pay all sorts of change orders with them. But since we're, dealing with the framers directly, they're able to adjust the plans, and we were able to order the wood according to what the room needed to be without being like a huge additional cost. Obviously, we incurred the additional cost of buying the extra cinder block and the concrete because
and the door.
And the door.
The door was an investment, but
yes,
we knew it would be.
Yeah, it was like a $2,500 door. I don't know. It was pretty.
And it's really heavy. It takes like 4 or 5 people to lift that thing up.
Pretty thick, and the way it operates is when you close it, there's like 1-inch bolts that go all the way down on both sides of the door. So when you lock it in with, God, I don't even know how many bolts. I guess we'll look once we go install it. But that door is not being pried open unless you have some heavy machinery. I mean, I'm sure if you got like a huge excavator, yeah, you can bust through it. But who's going to drive down the road with an excavator? and I'm not hoping a tornado can pick up a 60-pound or 60,000 pound machine and throw it into the house. And if it does, then nothing's going to save you then.
Now, the one thing that is still left to do as far as the space is concerned, that's very important, is getting air in and air out of it. And we are still dealing with the logistics of that. That's something that we're going to have to deal with and look into once the HVAC gets installed. And right now we're in the process of talking to different vendors and seeing, how they're going to incorporate that space with the rest of the home. Unfortunately, we can't do that just yet because we have to wait till all of the framing is complete so that we can see where all the runs can go and how everything can get connected. So we're not there yet, but that is just the final, I guess, logistical thing that we have left to do to make sure that that space is fully functional for us, to be able to go in and lock ourselves inside there in case there's a storm. But we're trying to make sure that, everything is taken care of and we think of everything that we need.
Yeah, and it's not a science because this wasn't in the plans. Again, we're kind of fortunate that we're building our own home, so there's certain things we can do on the fly that most people can't. There's
been a lot of things that we've done on the fly, especially with the framing. We've learned a lot there. And we'll share all those little details with you. Fortunately, some of those things actually ended up benefiting us in the long run. We actually took those little things and turned them into something really cool. So more on that as well. But that's basically it. That's our episode for today for the safe room. We're going to go ahead and do the B-roll. That way you guys can enjoy the footage of having it built. And here we go.
All right, so this was the vault door for our safe room that we're building, and as you can see, I can't tell if that's the bottom or top, but unfortunately it got damaged. Not in shipping, but I guess when they were loading it. Not this gentleman here that's actually dropping it off, but somebody in the staging department, and that is, I mean, that's welded steel that got ripped off, so that got hit pretty good. And when I bought this door, they made me sign all sorts of waivers and stuff that said that if that thing comes off that truck, it is mine, and they don't care. So whenever you're getting any kind of deliveries or something, make sure you check it before you get off the truck. And again, this gentleman here was super awesome. He recommended to make sure we looked at everything, checked everything, because again, he understands that some of this stuff is expensive, and the minute that it gets off the truck, you may or may not be able to file freight claims. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to refuse this and wait for a new one. But again, shout out to this gentleman that works for FedEx. Yeah, FedEx Freight, super awesome dude. So fortunately, we got a little bit of delay, but it is what it is. What are you gonna do? So that is our metal decking right there. They're putting rebar in the block, or additional rebar, excuse me. And that's gonna be kind of like the floor. They're gonna put that up there. That's gonna hold the concrete in, and then they're gonna put more rebar on top. And then they're gonna pour and fill all the cavities in, and it'll also have like a 4-inch thick roof deck of concrete. And once it all dries out, then we'll be good to go as far as the storm room, and then we can start framing everything up. So looks pretty big. It's like 10 by 16 foot. And we got our inspector right there. She is making sure everything looks good. If not, she'll let me know. She's a little tired. You saw her, she was yawning. She had a long night, so. So you have this metal decking up here that holds the concrete. This doesn't go all the way down. You actually have a gap here. And in that gap, you can see there's rebar there. This goes all the way, that rebar goes all the way down. These get, these L pieces, kind of like that. So it goes down in and then goes out. Sorry guys, I know it's loud, but it's construction, so what are you gonna do? And again, as you can see, it's gonna be about 5 inches. So you have about 5 and 4 inches. So the high spot will be like 4, the low spot 5 inches of concrete. And all that gets poured, and then this whole thing will be encapsulated. That's the support beams that hold up. That's temporary. They're filling up the gaps here. That way no concrete comes into the room. And it will be one continuous storm shelter. So in the event that we have any tornadoes or really bad storms, we can come in here, be safe, not have to worry about anything. And even if, a disaster happens, the family will be safe. So this thing's pretty big. It's about 10 by 16. So, it's got plenty of room for us as far as, if you just got to hang in there for a day, or night with bad weather. But I also want to point out, there is a little bit of room here that allows us to frame around it. So you will not actually be able to see this. So once it's all framed up, we'll have, you know, wood walls all around it, and you won't even be able to tell what this is. So if you're building a home, you don't have a basement, you don't have a way to kind of do like a storm shelter in ground, this is something that I highly recommend. So that is our pump truck. That is a concrete truck. And they're here to pour. When you see construction guys pulling in a white, older GMC van, you know stuff's about to go down. Construction, hammers. I mean, it is gonna get real busy all of a sudden. So, good deal. Oh yeah, we got the Toyota there, the GMC van, and we also got the Toyota Tacoma. So they are ready to get after it.
All right, so the guys just finished the storm shelter and Nelson's inside of it. You want to explain what they did? It's pretty high.
So as you can see, I can't even touch the ceiling. The ceilings are 8'8". The cavities again were empty. So when they poured concrete, there's rebar that goes all the way up and then turns up into the actual decking above this. This is metal decking. That's just to hold the concrete in place while they pour it. But once it hardens, I mean, that stays there forever. And you can kind of see these, you know, the seams right here, especially right here. So you see this seam, this is a dry seam, but above and below, all the way down, it's darker. That lets you know that, you know, the concrete went from the top all the way down because, you know, the concrete's wet, but as it expands into the cavity, you know, it gets this stuff wet, and then once it dries, I mean, this whole thing is encased 8 inches of concrete. So this is our master walk-in closet.
Yeah, that's right. This is what we decided would be the best location for our storm shelter. And the reason is, obviously, we don't need a window in here. There was a window back there, but we took it out. We nixed it. And as you can see, even with the brick walls right here, or the block walls, we still have quite a bit of space. We didn't lose a ton of square footage. I mean,
we're going to end up losing 2 feet total.
On all the way around? Yeah, okay,
Right.
So total.
The
Okay.
block is 8 inches thick, so 8 inches here, 8 inches there, and then we lose some width because, you know, I got to put wood so we can put sheetrock and then, you know, run the electrical and stuff in. So this will look all just like a regular closet because we're putting sheetrock up and you won't even be able to tell what this is.
Awesome. Yeah. So we thought this was just our best option, and we're glad because it's really tall. We can do our closet system all the way up to the ceiling. So we really don't lose a lot of storage at all with that 2 feet that we lost, you know, horizontally. We have it, you know, vertically. So we're excited about it. It looks amazing. It's nice to know that we'll have a place to go if and when there's crazy weather up here and we need to have some shelter. We have a little place in our house where we can all go to.
Up here, I do have to core a couple holes for our HVAC. So we'll have actual vents come in and out. That way you have fresh air coming in and out.
Yes, it will be.
It'll be ventilated.
Yeah, we won't be suffocating in here.
Right. But it's inside the whole house too, so it's still climate controlled, but you got to have ventilation. So they could not back it in, so he had to pull forward. So we're not going to try to unload it here. Unfortunately, this time, or during this delivery, the house is framed. When they first delivered it the first time, there was no framing, so we could have put it out there. But now we got to set it here, unwrap it, and then get a bunch of guys to come help me take it in there, because that door weighs about 400 to 500 pounds.
All right, so as you can see here, this is our storm shelter or safe room. We call it either or. But the guys framed out the walls on the perimeter of it, as you can see right there. So when the sheetrock and everything goes up, you won't even be able to tell that it's a reinforced room. And we did it lower than the actual ceiling because we needed to have space for the AC vents and everything that needed to be run through there. So the good thing is that we have 10-foot ceilings like we had mentioned earlier, and this allows us to have a shorter safe room, but it'll still not feel claustrophobic. Originally, the door was supposed to be like a square door, and we decided against that. You were going to have to actually go into the closet and then into the bathroom going through the closet. But we changed the direction of the door. We like the diagonal better. Again, because the door is such a heavy-duty, large door, we thought it would need a little bit more space. And it just wouldn't have worked if it opened in that way or even that way. And honestly, I didn't want to have like a bank looking, safe door in my bedroom. So we angled it that way. That way there's like a little hallway from our bedroom into our master bathroom. And then here we have a header, as you can see, and we're going to have a pocket door. So the door will actually open this way and into the wall, and it won't interfere with the safe room door. And when I don't want to look at it, I can just close the door. And then that will be the only door we'll have. We won't have a door going into the bathroom because there's already a door here that closes it, and then a door there into the safe room. So we thought that was the best solution for the door situation. And so that it's not so obvious that it's like a safe room or anything like that. It can always be nice and private, and it'll still look good, for the aesthetic of the master bedroom. So as you can see, it fits perfectly in there. Here's our bathroom. So pretty convenient. And like Nelson was saying, the stairs for the kids to come down is literally right behind our bedroom wall. So that's why this was also a very convenient space. All they have to do is come down, around, and in here to get to the safe room whenever there's a tough storm. So, hope that all made sense. Well, that's it for today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. We'll be back here very soon with another update because there's been so much that's been done since this episode. So stay tuned for that because the real work is happening and the house is taking shape. So we hope you're doing well. We'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, adios.